Sometimes your living space looks neat, but it feels tired. Maybe it's because your home is filled with too many little things. Those things don't bother you, but they don't add value either. They quietly take up space, take up time, and gradually take away the comfort of your own home. Don't worry. In this video, I'll share 5 turnaround perspectives that have helped me and many others feel lighter when cleaning, more willing to let go when in doubt, and more at peace in my own living space. Number 1 is pause before you buy. One of the biggest sources of clutter isn't the stuff you already have. It's the stuff that keeps coming in. Maybe it starts small. You're at the store and toss something in your cart because it's such a good deal. You're scrolling online and click add to cart just because it's cute. Or you've had a rough day and a little purchase feels like a quick mood boost. In the moment, it feels harmless. But these tiny yeses pile up literally. You tell yourself it's just one more thing, until one more thing becomes a full drawer, a cluttered shelf, or a space that no longer feels manageable. One simple fix is to pause before you buy. If I feel the urge to buy something, I wait. Sometimes it's 24 hours, sometimes 48 hours. The point isn't how long. The point is not doing it right away. Because I've learned most of my impulse wants disappear once the moment passes. Very few of them turn out to be things I genuinely need. That pause gives me space to ask better questions. Do I actually need this? Will it add value to my life? Would I still want it if it wasn't on sale? You don't have to stop shopping. You just need to slow down enough to make clearer choices. Because clutter doesn't always show up through indecision. Sometimes it walks right in through quick decisions we didn't pause to question. And if you're wondering where to start, the kitchen is often a great place to start, so don't miss my next video. In the next video, I'll walk you through some of the most common clutter traps that hide in plain sight and how I clean them one small area at a time. Subscribe so you don't miss out. Let's get back to today's content. Number 2 is ask questions. There are things in your home you don't use, don't love, and maybe don't even remember buying. But the moment you consider letting them go, a wave of guilt shows up. You think I paid good money for this, or it was a gift I shouldn't throw it away. Or even, it still works. Maybe I should keep it. So the item stays not because it's useful, but because you feel a sense of responsibility toward it. If that sounds familiar, here's a simple yet powerful question to help you get through this with ease. If this item suddenly disappeared, would I spend money to replace it? This question helps you bypass the emotional noise and get honest with yourself. Not did I used to like this? Not was I planning to use it one day? But simply, right now, if it were gone, would it be worth buying again? The answer is often surprisingly clear. You'll realize there are plenty of things you wouldn't even miss, not because they're useless, but because they no longer serve the life you're living today. And if you wouldn't buy it again, maybe you don't need to keep it either. Now let's move on to the next rule. Number 3 is the $20 rule or the 15-minute rule. It's surprisingly easy to hold on to things we might need someday. That extra phone charger, even though your new phone uses a different port. The curling iron you haven't touched in 2 years, but what if you go to a wedding? Or the stack of random cables you don't even know the use for but feel weird throwing out. This is the just-in-case trap. We keep things not because we use them, but because they could be useful. One day, maybe, possibly. Here's the problem: when you hold on to too many maybe items, you start filling your home with objects that answer imaginary needs instead of supporting your real life. So I started to apply a very practical principle. If it can be replaced for less than $20 and can be bought within 15 minutes, I don't need to keep it. Need to keep. For example, a pair of scissors, a roll of tape, a common charging cable, all are things that are easy to find and easy to buy again when needed. Keeping dozens of these items just in case only makes your closets fuller every day, and you still can't easily find what you need. And the interesting thing is, I rarely have to repurchase anything. In over 2 years, I've had to repurchase on my fingers, but in return, I am no longer surrounded by items that do not really serve me. This principle doesn't just apply to objects. Think a little broader. Are you holding on to a job because you are afraid you won't be able to find another one? Are you staying in a relationship because you're afraid of feeling empty if you leave? Are you clinging to an old way of life because you're not ready to change? Holding on to something just in case may seem prudent, but it can sometimes keep you stuck in one place. Once we've got the just in case stuff out of the way, let's move on to the next one. Number 4 is the 60-day rule. If you haven't used it lately, will you really use it soon? There's a certain kind of clutter that hides in plain sight. It's not messy, it's not broken, it's just there. sitting in your drawer, your closet, or your cabinet, untouched for months, maybe even years. We keep telling ourselves, I might use it eventually. It's still in good condition. It's not doing any harm. But here's the truth. When something hasn't been used in a long time and you have no real plans to use it soon, it's probably just taking up space. The solution is to ask yourself, have I used it in the past 60 days? Will I use it in the next 60 days? If the answer to both is no, then it's usually safe to let it go. This rule helped me clear out clothes I kept just in case, kitchen tools I thought I needed, and even books I never really planned to read. And here's the thing, I didn't miss them. Not once. I only noticed how much easier it became to find the things I actually use. Of course, 60 days is just a guideline. You can adjust it to fit your life 6 months a year, or even just a season. What matters is that you're being honest about how often something is truly useful, not how guilty you'd feel throwing it out. Because in the end, something that hasn't served you in months probably isn't part of the life you're actually living. Now let's move on to the last rule. Number 5 is know the difference between emergency and just in case. When you start decluttering, it can be tempting to go to extremes. You might think, I want a clean space. I'll get rid of everything I don't use daily. But here's the truth. Some things are worth keeping, even if you rarely use them. Not because they bring you joy, but because they serve a purpose when you need them most. A plunger, a first aid kit, jumper cables, a flashlight during a power outage. You probably won't use these items often, and hopefully not at all. Because these are your emergency items, not just in case clutter, but practical tools for real-life problems. So we need to understand the difference between emergency supplies and just-in-case supplies. Just-in-case items often come with stories attached. I might need this if I lose weight. I paid a lot for this back then. What if I get back into that hobby? They're tied to fear, guilt, or a version of yourself that no longer fits your life. They live in the maybe one day category, and they rarely get used. Emergency items, on the other hand, are specific and practical. You don't use them often, but when you do need them, nothing else will do. And you're not keeping them out of fear of regret. You're keeping them out of preparation and responsibility. Remember, the goal here isn't to get rid of everything in your home. It's about making space for what truly supports your life and eliminating the things that silently drain it. So there we have it, the 5 rules. Decluttering isn't really about stuff. It's about how your space makes you feel, and how much easier life is when your home is filled with things that actually support you. If even one of these 5 rules resonates with you, you're already making progress. You don't have to do everything at once, but you can start with a drawer, a shelf, or a decision. And if you're wondering where to start, the kitchen is often a great place to start, so don't miss my next video. In the next video, I'll walk you through some of the most common clutter traps that hide in plain sight and how I clean them one small area at a time. Subscribe so you don't miss out. Thanks for watching.